Hey guys, it's Ben. I'm here to give my second place OTS championship Madolche deck profile. I've had a lot of requests to do like a profile for this list, and like some of the variant lists I've come up with recently for this deck, just because like explanations on this deck are just kind of needed because there aren't a lot of people doing well with this deck or topping with this deck. So having someone kind of give an in-depth explanation of why I have ratios and things is a lot better than just showing off a deck list. Couple shout outs. Shout out to my team, Team RMC. Shout out to All Seas Collectibles, put on a really good OTS event. And shout out to everyone I played. A lot of really good matches. And yeah, let's just get started. So we have 3 Angeli. She's literally the best starter of the deck. I don't think this would ever change. It's just insane. It's a little fireballs. Penning, again. She just facilitates all your insane plays in the entire deck. This card just actually becomes so much more insane with the Vernisylph cards, because even if you hand trap, this is just still alive, and then you just go off. It's so wild. We have 2 Madolche. So this is really different compared to Lawless. So most lists you're ever going to see are going to play 3 of this. 2, I think, has been the right number for now. When we get the new Vernisylph card, the Duck, this definitely go down to 1 or just none. Because effectively she's actually the worst one for you to draw if you're playing hand traps, because she's just dead going psycho, doesn't do anything, and then going first she's amazing if you don't have any, anything in grave. Obviously, she's just really good bait and gets you an extra blind. You get Glass Souffle before 5 summons, but she just doesn't do a lot. And she's also a spellcaster. Like if she was fairy, there'd be a lot more warranted reason because we play orange white in this list. But 2 is just a good number for this list in particular. But that number will probably change in the future. So like the lists I have for post Darkwing Blast, I play none currently. So yeah, because just really discarding this with a Vernisylph does nothing for you. And like I said, like it's just dead going second with hand traps and graves. So 2 Hoot Cake. This is probably the biggest change I'm making in the list. Moving forward, I want to play 3 of this in any list I play with the Vernisylphs, because just drawing this with a Vernisylph or drawing this going second is just so insane. And it's really interesting because there are a lot of hands where like I have one hand that came up yesterday where I drew like this, a Lotto, and the Vernisylph. So you like normal this, and then you discard the Lotto with the Vernisylph to special the Lotto from grave, get your Surge. And then you can use this to banish the Vernisylph from grave to get your petting or whatever else. So it's nice because like the Lotto gets you the Salon on that play, and then this resolves to get like petting. Then you get petting and Angelic on field. Overlay the petting and Lotto, and then now you have Glass in the Salon on field for your 5th summon. So if for some reason they do have Nib on that summon, you could just chain the Glass, so you still get your prom and can end on the Glass. So yeah, 3 Hoot Cake, definitely like all builds moving forward in my opinion, as long as I'm playing hand traps. And 2 Lotto, that's a pretty standard number. It's like the perfect one. Like you can't play 1 because you need to be able to resolve it twice in the big combo, and then 3 is just like not needed. And then we play the 1 Pudding Cess. Funny enough, the attack effect to pop 1 came up like twice, which is pretty hilarious. But yeah, like doing the full combo in this version comes up a lot more with the orange light. You can be a little more risky with your plays, especially in certain matchups. So like, if I'm playing the danger tier matchup, and I know they are probably on a low hand trap count, you can be a lot more greedy with your plays and do like the full combo, because effectively like if you do the full combo with this deck and they don't interrupt you, or if you have orange light to play around at least one of their interruptions, like Halfness or something, or you can even ash them too on the Halfness if you do have that in your opening hand. Or Crow to stop like whatever the mill, whatever it is. Like the full combo just generates so much card advantage, and like Prom and Glass with hand traps is just like way too much for a tier to deal with most of the time, which is like it's the biggest reason I played this deck, like because mostly I've been on tier limit for a lot of this format. But the Glass Souffle Promenade is just like really good against tier limit right now, so it was more like a specific meta call. And then I played 3 Vernisylph with Waking Forest, so kind of new for most of the lists you've seen from Madolche as of recently. There's 2 big reasons why we played this one in particular. So it was really down between playing this one and the Bear. The problem with the Bear is though is like it's a level 3, so the utility is a lot less there, and then also it requires you to draw to be able to resolve the effect, which is really strong. But we play Prosperity in this list, so like if I resolve Prosperity, then like you can't dig for the Bear in that situation because you just can't use the effect. So like it's kind of interfering. And then also the other reason too is like It actually came up one time, oddly enough. It was really bad, but it actually like saved my ass. Was that I had a hand where I special petting, and I had no way to extend after the fact. But I did know they were on danger, or I'm sorry, on tailment. So I literally just normal this out of my hand and made a Beast Dweller. And he had no way to out it on the draw phase, so like he's like, yeah, pass turn, and then literally next turn I top deck Gage Jelly with full combo. So that was kind of hilarious. He was a little tilted, but that was like the 1 second thing I did. But that's why it's in here, right? Like it's just good to have the little four because I played Baguska and Beast Dweller. So like if there were a situation I bricked and I could make one of those, sometimes those cards alone could be a win con, and sometimes in this deck you're just one card away from just popping off and no-TKing your opponent. Then 3 orange white. This card is just like. It's so crazy in this deck. Like, if you do this with Chateau, with the glass on field, like, there's not very many decks that can play through 2 ones. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, people, especially because, like, I don't know, people know he's a Madolche guy, but, like, don't really know what the deck does. I don't know why they don't pay attention at this point if I keep playing events, but, yeah, this card is just so insane. Especially, if you know what to hit, which is, like, that's the biggest thing with the, like, pretense of this deck is, like, your technical play has to be really good, obviously, but really the biggest thing comes down to is like you need to know when to use Promenade and your glass interruptions. You need to know when to use extra hand traps. Like that is how you're going to win games with this deck. And then 3 Nib, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 3 Crow. Play all of these at 3. This is the best hand traps in my opinion for this format. I actually do think Imperm is technically better in this deck instead of Veiler, only because, like, again, you don't have to commit a card to your graveyard. But games 2 and 3, your opponent's going to side deck back removal for you a lot of time because they're going to assume you're, like, on the goes and whatever else. Assuming they know anything about Madolche, they know you're getting the Salon, the Chateau, and the Promenade on field, so, like, back removal could be pretty high impact. And at the very worst, it trades with your Promenade, right? So, like, games 2 and 3, Imperm becomes a lot weaker because if you go first, you have to set it to your field unless you're siding it out, which, like, I don't really want to side out hand traps personally. And, like, the thing with Veiler is, like, since it's not once per turn, if you have a hand where, like, you don't already have the orange light, if you do the Chateau combo, like, this is not a once per turn. And that's the same reason why I play 3 Crow, because we do play 1 Bell for, like, the Vernisylph dump effect. But, again, Crow's not once per turn. So, like, it happened like the second time this weekend, but there's been a few games where like you'll draw like these 2 or like 2 of this or like 2 of her, and you use them both and you use Glassy Flay effect to shuffle them back and then put them both back in hand because of the Chateau, which is just, I mean, bro, like resolving this 3 or 4 times against tournament is just dumb. I mean, we can all agree upon like that's just crazy. Like it's just absolutely wild. And then yeah, like I said, Bell we dump off the Vernisylph. So, like, this is the card we dump off the Awakening Forest effect. And then if you, like, go a full combo, like, in theory, you can add back to your hand. Literally never came up. It hardly ever comes up. And it's, like, the reason why, like, we'll get into the side deck later, but a lot of people are trying to play, like, King Tiger Wonghu and stuff for the Sprite matchup. But, like, to be honest, like, it just hardly ever comes up, and it's really weird because, like, not only do you have to have full combo, but you have to have, like, full combo with the Vernisylph, and hopefully they don't have a hand trap. Because really, like, I'm never going for that play unless I have orange in hand. Because like one hand trap just stops you that whole entire situation. But like, in general, this is not a bad hand trap, so I don't mind playing the 1 copy. It's like whatever. So yeah, that's it for the monsters and hand traps. Spells, like pretty short lineup. 3 prosperity, 2 small world. These are consistency cards. The theory with 2 small world instead of 3 was like I wanted to play like 5 extension cards. So, like, a lot of lists that play the Vernisylph shit you see recently is, like, they'll play, like, 2 Small World, and then or not Star Wars, sorry. They'll play, like, the 2 of the Flourishing Hills and, like, 3 of this, or, like, vice versa. And, like, I mean, in, like, the very simple mindset, you're like, yeah, sure, if I draw a Vernisylph with a name, like, that's really good, I can play through the hand trap. But, like, the problem with that theory is like, the other one searches for this, and then you're discarding again. So you're going like a neg, like more than this already does. You're going like neg 2 to do your combo. So like, if they just wait for you to grab this and then hand trap this, you just went neg so many cards and just don't play the game. Whereas like this has so much more utility because like you can grab a hand trap off of it, you can grab a starter, you grab like Pankratops post side because I do play that side deck. Like it just, Small World just has so much more utility. I don't know if there'll be room for it in the deck like long term, but yeah, it's just in this deck, it was just seemed way better. And then one call by. Call by is really good. So, one Salon, one Chateau. Don't play Ticket. Like, Ticket is just a win more card. I've gone over this again in my profiles before. One Salon, you don't need 3. And hence why we don't play more Madolche either. Because, like, Madolche is only really insane if you're drawing it with this. But because we only play one of this, because we just want to switch in combo, like, Madolche becomes a lot weaker. And then, yeah, Chateau you just do for closing games, obviously. Hand Trap Shenanigans. It's actually, honestly, like, I would probably say MVP of the deck with Chateau. That card was just, yeah. It's always good, but, like, it was just really insane this weekend. For the looping hand traps. And then 2 Promenade. A lot of people only play one of this. I understand why, but I also do like the idea of, like, setting this on my first turn, negating something, trading Salon, and then I set the other one from deck. So, like, having this on the crackback to try to break their board is really strong. So, 42 cards. Honestly, if I were going to change this in the future, like 3 of this, obviously. If I played 3 of this, I'd probably cut this down to 1, and then, honestly, like, I would not be opposed to just cutting Ghost Bell, just try to get closer to 40 for consistency, but...
What was the card that you said you'd cut? You say play through Hoop Cake, and what was the other one?
I would cut one of the Magins, probably.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And then maybe Ghost Bell. I don't know. Anything to get close to 40, but those would be, like, the top, like, priority cards. If you wanted to play the second 40, those would be, like, the best ones to get. So, yeah, a little side deck. Gamma. Oh, my God, this card was so wild. Like, every time I side this in and saw it, it just put in amazing work. This is like I'm not even kidding. Like, I think Nibiru is probably the best hand trap of this format, but this is a damn close second. Like, this card just puts in so much work. And the biggest thing is, like, obviously it's such a gigantic spread and stuff, but it just, yeah, it is just insane. This card just does so much in this deck. Panker I actually only ever used this, like, in 2 matches. One was in the final. Never. The idea was I grabbed this because I wanted to be able to put damage in for time, but unfortunately, time got called before I was able to go to Battle Phase, so that was kind of unfortunate. And then another time it came up, it was, like, okay, but I didn't really need it, to be honest. It was more just, like, trying to get more damage on board for game. Dark Ruler, just for, like, the main, like, the big tier combo decks, and then obviously for, like, Sprite. You basically can just use this and sub out, like, any hand traps that don't seem optimal in the matchup in a second. Cosmics and Reboot. Reboot we specifically played, like, I actually think in this format, I actually think it's really bad. But because it's like an OTS event, like, you're anticipating you're gonna play, like, Eldritch or some, like, Barrier Statue, Stun, like, whatever deck. So, like, in this deck particularly, this card just puts in fat work. And then, like, as my backer removal, Cosmic is just objectively, like, whatever deck you're playing, is objectively the best one because it plays around all the Runic cards. So just being able to banish and stuff is just kind of nice. And then we played D-Barrier for the trap card. So I went between, like, this, Gozen, and Different Dimension Ground, like, the few days before the event. And the biggest reason why I chose this card as the when I wanted to play for the Floodgate is because with Gozen, it seemed like it had, like, really weird matchups into, like, tier and into Sprite, where, like, it could be good in theory, but, like, against tier, if they're that desperate to out it, they'll just Primeval Planet it or, like, out it with Clyde Heart. So, like, that seemed like not optimal if I knew that was gonna be the meta call. And then for Sprite, like, obviously you could just start Smashers, which is kind of insane. And the thing is, like, sure, you could sub it with Promenade, but, like, I don't want to commit my Promenade just to save a Floodgate. That, like, again, like, with Gozen particularly, like, Gozen doesn't do enough on its own to stop tier element. So, like, I'm not going to waste my whole Promenade just to save the Gozen. That's, like, going to have a little impact on the matchup. And same with Sprite. Like, Sprite is, like, weird under Gozen match, but, like, there are ways they can play the game under Gozen. So, and then Different Dimension Ground was, like, I've been seeing, like, the Sprite Runic builds can play under, like, Banish pretty well a lot of the time. So I just figured this was, like, this is the best all-around call. And this also hits Rogue really hard, too. So, like, in the hypothetical world, we play, like, the Mirror Match. Or, like, Despia. Despia is a really popular Rogue option around at my locals and stuff. So, like, this just puts in a lot of work against those type of decks. So, yeah, and then we'll knock at the extra deck. It's pretty standard. These are the same ratios I've always ran for the most part. 2, 2, and 2. Yeah, maybe 3 of this, but, like, it's really not needed. Like, the third one usually just gets banished on Prosperity. Like, this deck, honestly, most of your games are over by, like, turn 3, whether you win or lose. So, like, going for a 3 glasses of foil almost never comes up. Dweller Baguska. The one time I summoned this, like I said earlier, it literally won me the game. It was hilarious. This didn't come up, but like there are decks like this. Is just like if same situation. If like I had that same situation come up and I knew this was better to make than this, like this would have came up and it would have been wild. So like they're just nice utility rank fours that you have in your utility. This because can sometimes get you to 4 materials Zeus if you use a glass souffle effect, or if you're really crazy, you can get to 6 materials if you like overlay with this and then use this graveyard effect to add another material. I've literally only ever had that come up once ever in my life, but like we have the flex space, so like why would you not play the card? And then Zeus. Elite cards. We have assist start. Yeah, cards literally just. I'm not gonna even lie. This card's literally only there just to put cards in graveyard to trigger the glass souffle effect, so I can play around Nib. Otherwise, like the protection effect's like cool, but it just almost never comes up. But yeah, it's there. Phoenix, Unicorn, Boral Sword. There should probably be an access code, but somebody borrowed mine like a week or so ago, and I need to get it back. But honestly, like it was kind of funny. I'm like actually on the fence between playing this and access code in these lists. It's just a matter of what cards I want to out. And then the other thing is too is like it's really easy to just make this with like assist start turn 3. So like got things like the towers or like Psychic and Punisher, really weird things like that never came up, but like in the theory like it could. And then Omega, so you have it there for the Gamma play. Again, didn't come up this weekend. I never said I didn't Gamma going first, but there are some situations like I guess there was one match that I put in the Gamma going first against like Flunder just because I had so many dead cards. So it was like I'd rather just have this in case I hand trap my Angeli on tribute summon, or like I just draw a dead hand and have to use it. But yeah, otherwise that's it. If you guys have any questions.